Kentucky's bourbon industry has been hit hard by tariffs. There were signs of relief when President Trump announced he's removing some restrictions from the Commonwealth's bourbon trade with Scotland. Wave anchor Rob Wells has a closer look.
The announcement was made after last week's White House visit by King Charles III and Queen Camilla. Trump posted on social media that people had wanted this change. His post left it unclear if the tariffs were being lifted on the bottles of scotch or on the materials used to produce alcohol in both countries. But Commonwealth spirit experts think that the tariff removal is designed to ease exchange of the 53-gallon oak barrels essential for aging both Scotch and Kentucky bourbon.
We typically send them about 90+% of all of our used barrels to Scotland every year for their use in making their whiskey. That's about $300 to $400 million worth of used barrels that come out of Kentucky and go overseas.
He adds that bourbon and Scotch distillers in the Commonwealth are still waiting for a specific timeline and specifics of when the changes will be implemented. But the tariff changes will leave a positive impact on both job creation and retention, along with revenue in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah, we're a $10.6 billion industry in Kentucky, about 24,000 workers carrying about $2 billion in salary and wages. And so, every little bit helps when we're looking at revenue, especially in these challenging times. Trade policies have impacted us for years.
As for how or why the topic of Scotch and bourbon tariff breaks came up between the president and monarchy, Gregory said he still doesn't know, Trump posting on social media that, quote, "The king and queen got me to do something that nobody else was able to do without hardly even asking." Rob Wells, Wave News.
The Associated Press reports last year the Trump administration reached a trade framework that put a 10% tax on most goods imported from Britain. The Scotch Whisky Association added its export volume to the United States fell 15% after the tariffs were announced in April 2025.